it comes to one of the major stories today and potentially what you might be experiencing throughout the long weekend, well, it has to do with at least 14 Ontario hospital units shutting down ahead of the long weekend. And they're saying this is due to their staff shortages that they're experiencing. So intensive care units in hospital in Bowmanville will temporarily be closed. They're saying it's because of the significant staff shortages, along with more than a dozen other Ontario hospitals that are expected to reduce beds and relocate care ahead of the long weekend. So this is very alarming because when it comes to the Ontario Nursing Union, well, they said that the long weekends are where you see increased visits to emergency rooms, and because of staffing issues, and also more specifically when it comes to burnout issues where staff has been working nonstop around the clock during COVID. Well, they're saying that this has now come to this escalating point where they're losing staff and they just cannot operate these units. The Center of Closures, due to the staffing crisis, it's considered to be a Titanic, according to the president of the Ontario Nurses Association, Catherine Hoy, who says in a statement to media that this is how serious it is. I don't even know there's words anymore for it, describing it as a Titanic. If you've seen the Titanic movie or know about the Titanic ship that sinks, well, this is what she's describing when it comes to our health system, and more specifically when it comes to staffing. She says that the community cannot afford to lose 12 intensive care beds, and this is the community of Bowmanville. And the statement has been put out also by Lakeridge Health, who has said that when it comes to the area, they're making the difficult decision to temporarily close ICU and relocate patients to Ajax, Pickering, and Oshawa hospitals. So that puts more drain and burden on those other hospitals. They're saying that they recognize the impact of the temporary relocation of patients and their families, but this decision was not made lightly, is the statement they put out to the media. Also saying that emergency rooms in Wingham and Listowel will also be closed for parts of the long weekend. Can you imagine emergency rooms? Are going to be closed for parts of the long weekend. And when it comes to the Ontario emergency room nurse, another one, her name is Bridget Amagai, who spoke to the media, more specifically CTV, saying that the ICU has been scheduled, she was scheduled to work, but now it's been shut down, saying that her colleagues are saying that they're preparing to leave the profession when it comes to what they're experiencing. And the nurse says that some of her colleagues have now left the profession to go work in retail when it comes to a restaurant like Boston Pizza or Costco. And these are nurses and hospital staff after decades of experience, saying that it's just not a way that they can proceed in terms of their profession. When it comes to Statistics Canada, well, the data there illustrates that the situation is severe, saying that the data shows that 1 in 4 nurses say that they've planned on changing or leaving their job in the next 3 years. Well, the Ontario Minister of Health, Sylvia Jones, who's also the Deputy Premier, was not reached for a statement, although they put out a statement. So the Health Minister of Ontario put out a statement saying, like many other jurisdictions around the world, Ontario's health system faces pressures due to the challenges of maintaining the required staffing level. Not good enough, Health Minister. This is a crisis, and even though Queen's Park is scheduled to go back into session after their historic election win, the PCs, well, that's going to be the first week of August, and this is expected to be the biggest part of what they're supposed to manage. Meanwhile, the health minister has been sworn in, and so she's officially on the job, and we would hope to hear something from her as we are going into a long weekend. We're going into many festivals also in Toronto. There's Caravana happening, many other festivals around the city, and this is not the time to have your hospital units closed because there's a staffing crisis. This also is, part of the reason the Nursing Association is blaming Bill 124, which caps nurses' salary increase at 1%. And this was put forward by the Ford government in 2019 as a way to ensure what they said is that increases in the public sector compensation reflect the fiscal situation of the province. Well, the fiscal situation of the province is one thing, but hospital units closed when it comes to the public who pay for those services is another thing. So this is the top story. It is an ongoing story. We're gonna definitely cover it throughout the weekend.